Hi, I'm Flavio Juvenal, Chief Scientist at Vinta Software. Today we are here to talk about our latest contribution to the field of AI for web development, the GPT Bundle. This tool is designed for web developers and tech founders who are looking to efficiently incorporate GPT-4 features into their projects. Installing GPT Bundle is as simple as using npm install. You need to install both the client and server libraries. The server library is the one that calls the AI, which by default is OpenAI's GPT. So your API keys are safe. They live on the backend side, the server side. All you need is your OpenAI API key and setting the configuration on your root layout from your Next.js project. So get your API key from OpenAI and set it on your environment variables. Then go to your root layout and import the GPT bundle config from the client package and the server functions from the server package and link them together in your root layout like this. When you add the AI form assistant to your product, your users can leverage generative AI to help them fill forms. Here we have a simple form with a recipe, and the users can fill that recipe. What if they can use GPT-4 to help them with that? We can implement this with GPT Bundle. We just need to use the use form assistant hook and get from it the fill single field function. The use form assistant hook receives the configuration of that form. Basically, we need to tell the form title, which will be used by the AI to get context from that form. The form get values, the function that we use to get the form values, which is basically a simple function that returns the form values, which is use state here. And the form set values, which is the set form values from the use state. So we have a controlled managed form here, where the use state controls the state of the form. And we have the use form assistant with fill single field. So now we can just create a button. Here we are using AMUI, so we are using the loading button. And on click of that button, we'll call fill single field recipe. And if you do that, that's all GPT Bundle needs to help users to fill that form. So let's see it in action. And now you have all the recipe for the carrot cake. Now a more complex example, a form with multiple fields. Imagine we are dealing with a ticketing system like Jira, like Asana, and we want to help users to create issues, filling the empty fields, the missing fields. The user has already filled the title here for this issue, and they need help filling the description, category, and priority. We can provide a button to them, autofill missing with GPT-4. How can we implement this? All we need is to use the use form assistant hook from GPT Bundle. This hook receives the form title for context, as we saw before, the form get values, and the form set values. A different parameter we are passing here are the field choices. The field choices limit the choices the AI can produce for those fields. So we have a set of choices for category and a set of choices for priority. We get the fill fields function from the use form assistant, and we put it on the on click for the button of the assistant. That's all we need to have the assistant to autofill the missing fields from that form. So if the user clicks on that button, they'll get a highly contextual description that is completely related to the title they set and the context of creating an issue in a ticketing system. That's the power of GPT Bundle Form Assistant. You can leverage GPT Bundle to generate forms for your web applications. Imagine an application that needs to store data from contracts, from legal contracts. It's quite difficult to generate a form out of a legal contract because the contract is free-form text, like a Word document. We cannot use, or it would be very difficult to use, traditional algorithms to process that contract and produce a form to fill it. But with generative AI and GPT Bundle, we can easily do that. Here I have a generate form from any contact example from GPT Bundle. And I can grab a residential lease agreement, for example, and paste it here. It doesn't need to be perfectly formatted. This is enough. And then I can pass a prompt here like generate a form fulfilling the missing fields in this contract. When I click generate form, the AI generate a form like this with landlord name, tenant name, premises address, the lease start date. Note that the date is properly formatted here. So how is this possible? To implement something like this with GPTBundle, all we need is to use the use-generated form schema hook. This hook returns form schema and UI schema after we call generate form schema. And we call generate form schema on the on-click of the generate form button. And we pass to it the content and the prompt that the user has provided. The content was the contract text, and the prompt was asking for the AI to generate a form to fill that contract. After that, we get the form schema and the UI schema. The form schema is a JSON schema that we can use to generate the form, along with the UI schema that controls the widgets for that form. We pass both the form schema and the UI schema to the library called React.JSON Schema Form, and that library is used to generate the form to fill the contract. So all we need to do is to get those two objects and pass them to the schema form of the React.JSON Schema Form library. React.JSON Schema Form is compatible not only with MUI, but also other UI libraries like Ant.Design or Bootstrap and others as well. Here we are getting the JSON schema and rendering it right away, but you can build your own custom tooling around it. The key here is to use AI to build flexible web products. GPTBundle is easy to configure. In the GPTBundle config component, you can change the prompts, you can change the OpenAI model, or even you can use your own model backend, since the server package is separate from the client package. GPTBundle is open source and completely free, reflecting how we are committed to the web development community. We believe in providing tools to enhance your web products with GPT-4. At Vinta, we are excited to see the innovative applications you will create with GPTBundle. Feel free to send suggestions and issues on GitHub and Reddit. Your feedback is very much appreciated. See you soon!